Hello, Divine Sunshiners. Stay uplifted, stay motivated, stay ascended. Namaste, Namago.
And welcome to the Starting Over Virtual Retreat pre-show. I was about to say pre-game show. So Spirit had guided me and said to do a pre-show just to kind of prelude before we get into it, so we already have advice from Spirit and knowing from the workshops what will help us to guide us to know how we can be able to do this. So I want you to see how Spirit works. I'm doing this early this morning, and I want you to see how Spirit will bring through the different workshops the answers and the keys to how to be able to work with what they're telling we have to do. Right now what we're doing is as a physical, we got divine masculine energies here, which means us physically as a human being are learning how to be able to hold our heart. That means to be able to become centered in our heart, to be able to get the messages that our heart is having, and to really be able to align ourselves with our heart's desire. Some of us have been, I always look at the heart that's on his knee as one of saying we're looking at things as far as how we wear our heart on our sleeve. How are we actually moving when it has things that are moving in our heart? Are we being inspired to do things? And how are we actually having that forward movement as far as aligning ourselves with Spirit? How are we understanding that when things have that are with our heart, that things have to actually fall away, which is represented by the leaves. You got a 4 and a 5 there, which means becoming grounded, understanding that 5 represents change, and together those two together represents 9, which is again understanding there has to be an ending of cycles of sorts. Okay, also our next card here we have is triggers. We've been dealing with a lot of triggers, and it says when someone's behavior irritates me, I take it as an opportunity to heal something unresolved within myself. And so when we look at behaviors of others, or a person, place, a thing, we have to understand that that really is an opportunity. Instead of looking at triggers and saying, oh my God, woe was me, here comes another trigger, this person is doing this, they working on my nerves. Really truly understanding that that's an opportunity to say it's always about perspective. It's always about, hey, it's always about taking things. It's always about looking at things from others' perspective. It's always about how do you look at things. Is this a positive thing? Always setting the intentions that this thing here is coming because it is helping me to look at things in a different perspective. This is also coming to me to be able to help me to say, hey, pay attention to me, because this is something, in order for you to go to the next level, you need to actually deal with. Our next thing here we have here is branded. So it said, what other people think about me is none of my business. I choose to let it go now. So again, I'm thinking 2 ways. As far as where it is in our spirit, how we're letting things imprint on our spirit as far as who we are, and what we want to actually do. We have to make sure that we are looking from the perspective of how is that affecting us in our spirit. How we are as divine feminine energies. Energies means about how we are being, having our being. Is that something in which we need to look at? As far as I think of branding, I always think about an organization that I belong to, and they always say, watch your branding when you go out the house. What are you wearing? Are you representing your organization? Are you, what you're saying, what you're doing, what you're posting on social media? That is also part of your branding. what you do as far as working, people interact with you. You know, when they see you, they see you as the organizations. So when we're talking about being divine, excuse me, I have this in my hand. When we're talking about being divine, what is it? How are we representing us being a part of being divinity? Are we actually going out there and representing that with how we act, how we look, how we represent, how we have our actions and reactions to things? And that's something, again, that it doesn't matter about how people, if they're sold on how and what you're doing. Again, what it matters is how do you feel as you're doing that. And so you have to remember that, to make sure that when you are in your being, making sure that it is aligned with you being truly divine, because that's the brand that you want to be selling to yourself, number one, they're saying. And then also, as that, you don't need to sell it to anybody else. Just you being in that energy will also help others to be able to understand who you are, okay, that you are divine. Our next thing is again that we need to deal with where in the real world is this understanding of waiting. Okay, I don't understand why it's not really showing. Let me see here. Okay, this thing of waiting. It says, rather than waiting on another to change, I make the changes within myself so that I may have these things reflected back to me. So a lot of times of us, we always talking about waiting. And again, when we want things to happen, I always say, make sure that you are actively waiting. Actively waiting means I'm not sitting there twiddling my thumbs and not doing anything. It means that I'm going on, but in the back of my mind is saying I'm holding space. I'm leaving the door open. I'm doing these things because still my intentions, I done already set forth the program in the matrix or within myself that, again, this is what I want to happen. However, in the meantime, in between time, they say, like they used to say, or in the meantime on the ranch, I am still doing that. You know, they used to have shows or cartoons like that. This was happening at the same time. There's like simultaneously going on in another part of the world, or this is also going on simultaneously as you're doing this. So again, you have to allow for source to just go on ahead and let it show itself. Let it go on ahead and move and change things on your behalf, and understanding that while you are waiting, you're not doing like her where I'm waiting and I'm pining, but it's just like what you see here. Now, I don't know why I looked at this. This looked almost as if this was two people to me together, and it was the light. Now that's the way I seen it. But now if I look at this again, it's a lantern. So again, the lantern is the light, the divinity, the enlightenment about what you're supposed to be gaining as you are waiting. So in order for you to get that light, you got to be actively doing something. That means faith without works is dead. So in order for you to have faith in this thing to actually show up, you've actually got to actually do something in the process. So, but again, like I said, when I looked at this, it looked like it was like two people with their heads sitting down, and they had their heads together, and there was a light there. And that's probably what we are really active in. And maybe that's probably in my programming, is that again, okay, I know I want this. I know this coming together is going to bring this great light to the world, but at the same time, I'm not going to be doing this. I'm going to put an X on this. I'm not going to be doing this where I'm pining and thinking. Now, I might be sitting there thinking about think about a master plan. But whatever, if that's what I'm doing, that's fine. But I can't sit there and not do the next following steps that's going to get me out of that. Now, the shadow work that we got to do here is the child I was meant to be. So now this is interesting. When I bought this card out, the first thing came to me was Benjamin Button. And if you're not familiarized with Benjamin Button is the movie with Brad Pitt, in which he had aged backwards. This is really what we are doing. We're talking about becoming a sovereign being. We come here, we came with our sovereignty. We were a child. Everything was wonderment. Everything was brand new. Everything was clean slate. Everything was magical. We believed in things. We understand our connection with source. It was very strong. We knew where we came from. Some of us remember our own past lives. Some of it understood the imprint. As time went on, we hit age 7. Some of that stuff had left us, and we started to become, as years go on, we became more imprinted by program of our parents, program of society, dealing with interactions with friends, seeing how the world acts, and then we started to buy into the program that we seen around us. Therefore, the innocence or the clarity that we had or the connection that we had more with source went out the window. This, to me, when I look at this card, is telling us that we need to go back and age backwards into going back to being that child again. It's interesting to say the child I was meant to be. Not the adult I was meant to be, but the child I was meant to be. So what is it that you might need to revisit as a child? Maybe it is some things. I know for me, it's a lot of things in the career which Spirit had told me, and I know as a child I said I had wanted to be. And it's like, again, and my mom even had brought that up, said, what happened? You said you wanted to be this. How you end up being this? And again, going with the flow. I know at that time what I had said karmically I wanted to pay for a debt, and that's why I ended up being in the field that I am in the career as a teacher. But at the same time, we know that karma and those debts and things have been paid off. Maybe some of us have ended up in situations because we felt like, again, I got to pay my due diligence, I got to pay my karma, I got to pay this off. Is the reason why I'm in this because of XYZ, because of money. But right now we're getting a new lease on life. It's interesting, my reminder came up here, Dare to Hope, and we're getting a new lease on life. And again, even though things are going on, it seems like there are limitations, but again, we have to program ourselves again that we are free. No matter how things are looking on the outside, by us being divine, we have a special past. They just bring it to me, a thing where we could be able to override. What we have is forgotten it, and as a child we remembered that. We could think of something and it would actually happen. And we would know how to manifest things when we were a child. So I'm looking at her with this thing. It's like, okay, what are we planting? What are the seeds that we're planting? What is it that we are growing at this actual time as far as getting the things that we desires of the heart? She's in green, and it's a pale green, which is green is, again, that heart energy, and it's surrounded by purple, which to me is also about that getting those downloads in the crown chakra. So there, and I see red here, I see dots there. So connecting the dots. And so to me, it seems like in our root chakra, if we are grounded, we will be able to connect the dots in life. But we've got to make sure we're grounded and rooted in the idea that we want. I had an incident that happened with a person. I'm not going to name them. And it was a lot of doubt, a lot of indecision that was coming in. And I had to kind of really nicely, in my own divine sunshine Aries way, say, what you're saying, I'm not going to accept. Them sound like excuses. In order for you to be able to break through, and we ask for all these breakthroughs that we want in life, we've got to put some action to it. We've got to be the person that actually is causing the break, and to be able to do that. We can ask for Spirit to bring on that stuff, but it does require for us to have action. So again, what we're grounded and rooted, the action is, okay, that is it now. From this point on, I'm patterning myself to do everything just like, again, step by step, connecting the dots to what I said. This is the intentions that I'm setting forth life, that, okay, I'm working on forgiveness. That means that I am actually doing things actively to help. The universe is going, trust and believe, the universe is going to bring you these triggers to help you work on that forgiveness. Okay, your thing is okay, if you're saying you want to work on it and that's what you want, you have to make sure that you are actively choosing that. You can't say, I want that and I'm still looking for a breakthrough in forgiveness. And Spirit is like that joke to say, I bought you a ship, I bought you an airplane, I even gave you a life raft, I even put the lifesaver down there, and each time you talk about I'm waiting on me, and it's like, I did. I sent you these things through triggers. You didn't like it, but again, those are the things that I was sending to you to be able to save you. So again, how are you being able to communicate that? It's all these dots here to me it's a connection of lessons to understand how we're able to communicate this. And again, the key things again here to me when I'm looking here is the heart chakra, the root, and the crown right now for you to be working with that. We got the number 8. Number 8 is about rebirth, which is again starting over. And again, it's about also harmonizing, having an even flow from one thing to another. So again, being able to connect the dots. So some of us right now, in order for us to create the magic here, is about grieving. So again, what do we need to be able to do here? I'm going to turn this around. If we move out of the energies. That's what we need to do. Moving out of the energies. This is a lot of, hold on a second. I know it's out the frame because I'm trying to look at it. Let me see. Let me get closer. Sorry. These is all women, no men. Okay, interesting. Okay, so it looks like the spirit, our divine feminine energies, which is the spirit, how we are being, is leading the way as far as the grieving. So in order for us to be able to do this and to get out of that grieving here, once we get out of this grieving, the grieving and loss about what we thought things were supposed to, how they're supposed to happen, how they're supposed to show up, how they're supposed to be there for us, how we are supposed to be able to manifest and it didn't show up for us. How it is that where we did put our all into it, the person still chose not to choose us. Those things like that. It's the getting over the grieving of what we thought was meant to be. And the spirit is saying, if it didn't show up, guess what? According for me, it was not meant to be. This is what Source is saying again, because it's not according to your highest good. And we have to, again, remember about our perspective about that. And I know it's hard as humans for us to do that. But again, it's something within our spirit has got to get in line with that. So we can be able to create this, excuse me one second. So we can be able to create, excuse me, I'm sorry, I had to take something back. So we can be able to create this transformation. We've got to evolve. They talked about this one time before. It's about the evolution. I talked to Sean one time. Hey. I talked to Sean about that one time. And we were talking about something. And I kept on saying as I was channeling, they say it's all about the evolution. There are steps, again, that's like those dots. There are steps in which we all have to make in order for us to be able to go to the next level. And each time we go to the next level, we're changing, just like the Darwin chart that they had given us, the process of the cycles. And so we know we start kind of off one way, kind of rough, and as we go through life, each cycle, we should be evolving to be a little bit more tailored, more mainstream. This is not so rugged, because if you looked at the Darwin thing, we started off as one way, it's like, oh God, them was humans, until we get to there, and as creation or evolution had went on, some things and gifts and talents and things, abilities that we had, we no longer have. We used to have the ability to be able to turn our ears 360. And that no longer. Some of us have, through DNA pattern, are able to move our ears. We were able to do that. So, as we see that, Source sees that, hey, that's no longer needed. They don't need that type of skill anymore. We have to stop grieving over that. This is what they bring to me about some things that you used to have that you no longer have or used to be, because they're saying when we remove those things, you no longer need that. Now, that's not something saying that there's something wrong with you. It's just saying it's not needed anymore in your life. And so that's a blessing. When things get removed, that means there's an opportunity for something else to move into that space. And that's where we get a little hung up on. We don't like the way that we being moved. Sometimes spirits said, Source, my spiritual team say, sometimes we warn you beforehand. But a lot of times y'all don't move, so then we have to push you, and you don't like the push. When we've been kind of giving you clues, breadcrumbing you, they said, all along, I'm saying Hansel and Gretel, all along as to what it is. And so we have to remember that we have to, again, in order for us to evolve and understand that evolution of that transformation, which is like the butterfly, that could be the same thing with the caterpillar. Caterpillar could say, hey, I'm happy being this fat caterpillar that eats everything and consumes, and hey, I'm cool. I ain't got to go into that butterfly. And then they have to remind them, hey, you go through the process of melting yourself down, and when you come, you're going to be this beautiful creature that everybody looks at. They're so very light. They have the ability. I mean, I watched a butterfly one time. The feet of how light and how fragile it is, but how high it could actually go in the air. And I was like, oh my God, this sucker is like several stories high that is flying up, you know. And so again, we have to remember that the ability of what it is no longer spirit and source is saying that you don't need to be part of the ground. I'm going to ascend you to elevate you to go to the next level so you could be able to fly above it, for your beauty to be admired about your beauty. We have to understand that this transformation is needed. We have to understand that this breakdown is needed. We have to understand that the process that we go through is needed. We might be saying, hey, I was rocking this caterpillar suit until that came along, and then now I got to break myself down and then, you know, and go to this cocoon. We have to understand that the phases are needed. We have to understand that again, that when we go into the lava and the cocoon and we're being broken down like that, that process is needed, because that body, or what the things that you have as resources or people, are no longer needed. A person, place, a thing. We have to let that go. I think that's where we get stuck. Spirit is saying, and that's really where the magic is actually occurred, in that grieving, that process of letting go of the person that you used to know, or the life that you used to know, or the place that you hanged out that you used to know, or the people that you used to know, and that, or the relationship that you was thinking that you were supposed to have, and understanding that. To me, it's like a connection. Hey, what I say? A connection of spirits. To me, this is like that community card coming together. Some of us, again, we might have to again help each other in order to help each other heal. Hey, what I say? Help each other to heal. Excuse me, that's my babies. Help each other to heal. Then that when they do that ground, and there's some conflict with that, which we know. In order for us to heal, some of us we've got to come together like the Beatles to be able to heal each other. That's why it is, if anybody's offering programs, or hey, anybody that is also offering, like we're doing the event. Hold on a second. If anybody is offering like events like we're doing now with the 10-10 event of us coming together collectively to be able to heal together, do that. Anybody's offering classes or workshop, they're telling me there is magic, there is healing energy in coming collectively together. And so that's why you want to, anytime you have a moment where you could come together and to be able to talk or just bring your energies to support one another, do that, because there's healing in there. There's support. To me, this is support here. You know, you're not alone here. And this also will help with the grieving process of going to the next step. Okay, so now let's go into some solutions. Okay, because that's what source always wants to bring us solutions. So the thing that we need to understand is that it's time to clean up things. Stag is a divine masculine energies here. So it means in our being as a human being, humans, we need to clean up things in our environment. What's things going on around us? We got the number 21 here to me about it, which is coming into unity and relying on our intuition and awareness. Together that makes the number 3, which means to come into alignment. We need to be able to really stand on a rock. To me, this means a firm foundation. And if we are not in a firm foundation, we need to be working on cleaning it up. We need to kick up the dust that is around us. Some of us have been letting things settle. We ain't been dealing with it. We like, yeah, I see it, but I don't want to deal with it. And so we need to be able to go through that in order to win the race or to cross the finish line. That's that breakthrough. Things have to be cleaned up, okay? The next thing is again, moving into really happy, which just means moving into our joy. Understanding here, I'll turn it around for you. So they want us to move into that. Understanding that there is something that we can actively be celebrating. Take those times to celebrate yourself. Take those times to have other people celebrate you, and to really take that in and receive that, especially in divine feminine energies. I know April always talks about that all the time. How is it divine feminine energies? That means in our being, in our spirit. Some about us, we always believe, oh, I got to be humble, you know, and, you know, if I take that in. That's part of ego. That's society saying that. That's another way of the program to stop you from being able to take that energy, to transmute it, not in a bad way. Transmute it means to take that and elevate it and make that much higher frequency. Taking that compliment if somebody's telling you, taking that thing with everything that's positive and helping you to be able to rise above it, to unlock some things. You're going to find yourself in new dimensions as well. A whole new world, they say. Now, whole new world. So you got a whole new world here. It might be foreign to you, but this is another dimension. This could represent like the fifth dimension for you to be able here, to be able to truly be able to balance, to become like this. This is like she's like a fairy. To be able to have your hopes and wishes fulfilled and understanding that you are the one that can be able to grant that, not just somebody else. That's interesting. And you got a hummingbird, which here to me is really working, understanding that I can be able to go from like a hummingbird, pollinate, which goes from flower to help other people. Well, so is myself to be able to create that sweetness, but I'm also helping others in the process. Moving very fast, knowing, being laser beam, knowing what it is that I actually want, being targeted, but being light, being able, any kind of bird is there, helping us understanding that I could be able to ascend. You got the number 26 here to me again. It's moving in unity. 6 represents love, together, but moving in unity and love, and together that comes with the number 8, understanding there's a rebirth, your happiness, your bliss, your joy, letting your joy help to propel you as well. And then here you have, here's TikTok, understanding that some of this stuff here, and I think we talked this about, is just truly about divine timing. You've got to allow for spirit, and I know that's what makes it very hard for us, because it's, again, we're talking about that waiting. And so we have to understand that when we're talking about this divine timing, that we have to allow for things to really ascend. I'm seeing here that I'm drawn to this, which means we got to kind of float. He said, float on, float on, float on. So we got to understand that also, to go on with the flow, but also able to go higher. We can, some things, and they bring it to me, thank you, spiritual guys, say some things we can't help you to manifest where you are because you're too low. We can't bring it to you like that. Number 1, you're not going to know how to handle it. Number 2, you don't know what to do with it. And number 3, in that space or that energy or in that low vibe or wherever you are, we can't bring it to you with there because there's just really no place for it there. Okay, so you've got to wait for them to be able to bring you up to the next level. Okay, and that's what it means. TikTok means, again, understanding that it's timing. It's got to be a divine timing. But again, when we talk about that waiting game there, please make sure that you're understanding that means actively you got to be doing something. Even if you're ignoring it and say, I can't deal with that right now, I'm just going to go ahead and do what I'm going to do, then that's what you do in the meantime. But again, notice here, what brings to me here is release. There has to be a release. Release and knowing, okay, that things are getting broken apart. Things are being opening up. There's that breakthrough so you can be able to go on and manifest. You got 3 here, which is the Trinity, lining up things as well. And so you got this 0, which is with that God force that's behind it. So again, source is, that's your proof there. That source is behind that, is supporting it, is pushing it through so you could truly get into divine alignment through this. And then the next thing here is your imagination. Understanding that here they want us to move into the energy of imagination where we are actually connecting ourselves to our intuition and our awareness, okay? Not to the illusion. Watch what you're connected to. That's what they say too. Watch what you're connected to as well, what you are becoming in union with, because this 2 represents the unity number and 0 with the God force there, and you got to watch what you're linking to, because again, source loves us enough that, hey, if that's what you want to link up to, and that's what you want to power up and level up with, they're like, that's not really for your highest good, but again, we're here, okay, to support you. So in order for you to have that, I'm seeing his cloaked here, She's got a cloak here. Again, remember, being able to get rid of the deceptions here too as well, but understanding that really what you're looking at and seeing the things and illusions for what they are, to be able to truly, like I said, is use your connection to your intuition, your awareness, to deal with what is going on here. Like they say, the illusions in the 3D world. You see these stairs here, which we are ascending. We're going up higher. You see the light here is where to be. This is like truly being in the world or the level of enlightenment here. So you've got to imagine. Use your imagination. To me, this again will represent your third eye energy here. To envision, say, those without vision shall perish. You have to specifically know exactly where you want to go. That's why I say about the intentions and your perspective is everything. That's what you need to do, because you got this God force behind it, but you got to remember that. And then also, this came in reverse. Some of you all, again, this is understanding. This is interesting. This is a connection where I say connecting the dots. Doing things by the book. To me, this is several things. Understanding that there is a leveling. Notice here with the elephants, I'll turn it around there. And this is, again, to me, you can look at how we do it from left to right. This is, again, going back to that, the child I meant to be. You're moving from, again, adult, moving into adult, maybe teenager, and then now into baby stage, which makes going back to being child. Right now, you kind of clowning around, which means, again, that you did some things that maybe been foolish. Okay, now you have to, here you got to shield yourself, even in this in-between stage where you are now and now. So this is the past. This could represent the present. Understand you got to shield yourself. And this is the future. Understanding that there is some strategies that you got to take, because this is a chess move here. But there is a desert here. So sometimes right here, there is nothing for you to be able to go on. But you still got to create that balance. You got this 1111 here represented here. So you got to create that balance in your feminine and your masculine energies, even when there's nothing there. You still got to make the connections here and watch how your past, things in the past, things in the now, help to create the things that's going on in the future. You could do things by the book, because you understand that there's a leveling, just like the process of the butterfly. It's got to do the caterpillar stage. It's got to eat up things so it can exhume and eat up and consume energy. And from there, when it does that, it goes into the breakdown stage. It was in the cocoon, okay, as well. And then we move on into coming out of the cocoon into we have coming out with our wings. And in the wings there, again, we know that they have to struggle to come out of the cocoon, out of the chrysalis. And a lot of times that's a struggle again coming out of that. It's like, okay, now I'm a butterfly. I know I'm beautiful. Now the struggle still is going on there. And you have to wait until there's a drying off process of the wings as well. And when they're drying off, there is also a part of the blood is getting pumped to the wings so they could be able to ascend and go to the next level. And so then once that is over with, you could go on. So I think sometimes some of us are in that point where we're just coming out of the cocoon. We just got our wings. We like, oh, we want to try it. I'm ready. But Spirit is like, listen here, I'm telling you, you're not dry. I'm telling you, we have pumped enough blood in there for you to really be able to use the total strength or the total power of your wings yet. And you just like, but I'm ready. I'm a butterfly now. And so right now, we're at that stage where they're saying, no, you're not ready yet. We still got to pump life into you. Still got to get enlightenment into you, and we still got to wait until that you have fully transformed, although you are that, but there's still an internal transformation that has to go on, okay? And this is where we are. Another thing, like they saying about that, sometimes playing by the book, it came in reverse. Some of us has got to not pay things by the book. We got to think outside of the box. We got to kind of think with that Aquarian energies where we're like, okay, how can I do this differently? How can I do this that I have been doing the same X, Y, and Z, and maybe, or doing an A, B, C, and now I need to do X, Y, and Z. This is something that, again, that we have to look at. as far as when we're talking about starting over. So this is the deck here. I'm gonna kind of go smaller if I can see the whole thing. And so this is what we all are dealing with. I move this over. Let me put this over here a little bit. So this is the overall deck that we are dealing with. And we see here it's about us really truly being able in our, as a human being, how are we holding the issues of our heart? How are we able to get a handle on the desires and be able to actually have movement in it so we can end these cycles, which is starting over? Because we had a 9 here, we're stepping to it. But there's a thing in which we've got to end the cycle so we can begin anew. All right, there. Enjoy the rest of the event that is coming up. Use this as an opportunity, like I said, to help you to stop grieving or to get over that grieving process as well. So you can be able, there we go, get over the grieving process. What's happening here? Why is the shadow here? Oh, it must be. Is there something here? No. Okay, it must be sliding sideways. Okay, there we go. Help us to get over that grieving process as well. Now it's brighter there. There we go. I didn't know. It slid to the side. Okay. Right there. So we can be able to really, truly get a handle as to how we can be able to start over. I thank you, spiritual guides, for giving us the recipe. This is something, to me, I would go back over and over again just to make sure that I understand and see how is it that I need to specifically work with the energies and the areas in which Spirit wants me to do. All right, then. This is the pre-show, and next we will start with the show. All right, then. Enjoy yourself. Take plenty of notes. Make sure that you are participating and getting all that good stuff in there so you can be able to get that healing, so you can be able to start over again. All right, then. See ya. As always, stay uplifted, stay motivated, stay ascended. Namaste and Namago.